Hey guys, welcome back to the S&M Sports Talk podcast. I'm your host Sharuk, and I'm sitting alongside Misty.
Hey everyone.
All right, so we got a lot of sports to talk about. This is, I believe, our 7th episode, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct.
All right. So before we get into the nitty gritty, we want you to follow our social media stuff, and Misty has those details.
Yeah, so on Facebook and Instagram, we are S&M Sports Talk. And on Twitter, it's SM Sports Talk 1. And also, our website is snmsportstalk.com. And our email address, if you want to be on the show or you have an opinion or you want us to talk about something, hit us up at snmsportstalk@gmail.com.
All right, that's a lot for me to remember, so I'm kind of glad she takes care of that. Although I don't like that Twitter handle, SM Sports 1.
It didn't give me a choice. That's just what Twitter gave me.
Yeah. Anywho's, so before we start off, I would like to make another apology.
Uh-oh.
This is becoming a weekly thing now, it seems. Last week's episode, I mentioned the whole DeAndre Jordan thing. It was kind of a touchy subject for Misty. But I said Chris Parsons and not Chandler Parsons. So, frustrating.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I apologize too. I didn't know that.
When I was doing the level checks, I noticed it, and I was sitting there like, man, am I really going to try to overdub it or try to re-record it?
No.
No way. Mm-mm. So, we live with our mistakes. And also another apology and I already apologized for this one, but another apology for the awful audio quality and overdubbing of Misty's part.
It won't happen again.
Yeah, on the phone call that we had with Joe, our buddy, and lastly, apologies for the Vopinions. I've gotten some funny feedback, and I've gotten a little bit of negative feedback on it as well.
Ain't nobody care about the negative feedback. It's funny.
Okay, all right. I guess that's a segment that will stay, so I will do my best to play it as least as possible. That's one more app I can delete off of my phone.
You better think of something else then.
All right, so Mist. Man, anything in sports happen?
A-Rod and Jennifer Lopez got engaged. Is that what you're talking about?
I couldn't care less.
Oh, come on.
I was trying to have an episode where I didn't have to mention the names Antonio Bryant, Antonio Brown.
Uh-huh.
Let me go and apologize for Antonio Bryant, so I don't have to apologize in next week's episode.
Is there such a person, Antonio Bryant?
Yes, it was actually a former receiver from the Cowboys.
Okay.
And if that's wrong, I'll apologize next week.
All right.
So anyways, I was trying to go 1 week without discussing Antonio Brown
Le'Veon Bell.
or LeBron James.
Oh, LeBron James.
And guess what 2 topics we're starting off with today?
Yeah. It's inevitable this time of year.
Antonio Brown, after all the Instagram lives and the Facebook lives and the whining and this
foolishness.
And that. And honestly, it's rightfully so that he whined. He is in my opinion, the best receiver out there, and he deserves to be paid so, or paid as such. And he didn't have any more guaranteed money coming in, so the Steelers essentially could have cut him at any point in time and not have owed him any more money. So rightfully so. I just don't like the way he went about it. Mm-hmm. Doing the smart-ass, Instagram live videos of your workout, telling people to come with guaranteed money. It just doesn't look good. But the end result is he got traded to the Oakland Raiders for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So if you can kind of juxtapose the Oakland Raiders last 4 months, they gave up Antonio Brown. They gave up Amari Cooper to the Cowboys for the Cowboys' 1st round pick.
Mm-hmm. And Khalil Mack. They got rid of Khalil Mack.
They got rid of Khalil Mack to Chicago. So they're stockpiling picks. And everybody was thinking, because Pittsburgh wanted a number 1 pick for Antonio Brown, but for some reason, Pittsburgh, and I believe the Steelers were just sick of Antonio Brown's stuff, and they just wanted to get rid of him. So it's kind of like, we're just going to cut ties with you. Let's part ways, whatever. And Pittsburgh only got a 3rd round and a 5th rounder. So in my opinion, it looks like Antonio Brown's a big winner here because he gets guaranteed money. He goes to a new team. Oakland is a big winner here because they got a marquee receiver. And it seems like the big losers are Pittsburgh. However, Pittsburgh having Juju Smith-Schuster as the number 1 is a good thing. Mm-hmm. having James Conner as their lead back in the backfield looks to be a good thing. I mean, he was lights out last season.
Yep.
Until
So much so that people were saying, "Do they really miss
exactly
Le'Veon Bell?"
exactly until his
He done
injury.
screwed himself.
Until his injury, he was lights out.
Yep.
So that's good. Ben Roethlisberger, even though he's slow, he's always been kind of slow. He still can,
He's functional.
yeah, he's still a top 7 quarterback, top 8 quarterback. And Pittsburgh has been known to parlay, mid-round draftees into exceptional receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster being one of them. Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick. So I guess all is not lost with Pittsburgh. I kind of still feel like they're going to be relevant. They weren't relevant this year because they had a lot of drama. They lost a lot of easy games. They had a tie, which for me is one of the most annoying things in football. I hate the tie.
They were relevant in that we were talking about them,
Yeah.
but not for football reasons.
True.
Yeah.
And they didn't make the playoffs. So I still think that they will be relevant in the upcoming season. I still think they have a decent, receiving core. They have a very good tight end. James Conner seems to be a very, very a doable running back. He actually has surpassed Le'Veon Bell's numbers in the small sample size that we've gotten. Whether that's sustainable or not, we got to give the rookie a little bit more time to see.
Sustainable doesn't always matter. Sometimes just this season matters.
True.
Right?
So I want to ask you, Mist, because you were an Antonio Brown fan because of the commercials and his persona and his smile and obviously his
He's
on-field prowess.
charming guy.
Yeah.
Like he seems to be anyway. I don't know him personally,
And he's
but
a
he seems like it.
fantastic receiver. So what is your opinion on this whole thing? Because the news came in Saturday night, and unfortunately it was daylight savings. So I was looking at my phone, scrambling.
Why is it 3 a.m?
Yeah, trying to figure out did he really go to the Raiders?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of wondering, what is your opinion on this whole situation? Because this is kind of a blockbuster deal.
Yeah.
But it's weird to happen kind of in the middle of March. The free agency period is still going through, and the draft is upcoming end of next month. So what's your opinion on winners, losers, or what's your take on this whole thing?
Yeah, so I have a couple of opinions. I'm sure you're shocked. I don't think we mentioned, but the deets of his contract is 3 years, $50 million, which, first of all, he on Instagram, or I don't know how, which, by the way, why does he want to be called Mr. Big Chest now? That's so obnoxious. But anyway, he said that he wanted to be the highest paid receiver. You might be right. He may be worth that, but this is not that. I'm pretty sure, right? 3 years, $50 million is not the highest paid receiver in the league, surely.
But we have to also weigh in guaranteed money versus
I think
an
30
overall
is
contract.
guaranteed or something.
Okay.
31, something like that.
But when
I
you're
don't
coming from guaranteed money versus not having any more guaranteed with Pittsburgh, that makes a huge difference.
Oh, no, I'm not saying this is not a good deal for him. I'm saying he went Bryce Harper and was very insistent that he be the highest paid receiver, and then all of a sudden he went to Oakland. It doesn't make sense to me. But a couple of things here. You're right. I did used to like Antonio Brown a lot more before all of this shenanigans started. I think I mentioned on the last episode. Let me be clear. He is not.
I can never hear the word shenanigans without thinking about Super
Super
Troopers. Yeah. Hey, Farbo, what's that restaurant you like with all the goofy shit on the wall?
Shenanigans?
All right, sorry. Please continue.
What was I saying? Oh, before all this shenanigan began, I liked him a lot more. And I want to be clear that I do not think he is wrong. Like you said, he's very right to have a beef. He was thrown under the bus a lot. He wasn't utilized properly. And Pittsburgh's not going to be crap if they don't get their locker room in order. I think we agree with that. Like Antonio Brown's attitude, Le'Veon Bell's attitude, Ben Roethlisberger's attitude, these are not the only problems that are going on there.
Right.
So if they can't fix that, it doesn't matter. But I just think I honestly don't think this is a good situation for Antonio Brown. Money wise, it is fine. He's getting paid, whatever. But he's not going to be happy in Oakland.
It's not always about the money. The grass is not always greener.
He is not going to be happy there. And they will not be as relevant as as people think that they will be. I have watched Derek Carr slowly go downhill. He was amazing. That one year, I think it was 3 seasons ago, I had Derek Carr and Amari Cooper on my fantasy team. They alone won me more than one game.
That's all I heard when the touches were happening.
AC/DC.
AC/DC connection. Most of I invite I invite some of our listeners to come to my house for a football weekend, just so you can hear the sheer obnoxiousness of Misty and her fantasy stuff.
Me?
Because when she
Please.
when she has a championship season, she boasts and she tries to play like very kind of coy, like, oh, it's okay. There's plenty of time left.
Shrook, the kids call that a humble brag, I think.
But then when she has a train wreck season, aka last season,
Le'Veon Bell.
it's like she's like 8 games away from the last place in the playoffs. She's still complaining. Like, you have had enough time to get over it.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. But like I said, was it 3?
It's like throwing money at that 84 Chevy Nova. Like, you just stop being so invested in this. Just
I
be done.
can't. It's in my blood. You wouldn't have it any other way, I don't think. And it's your fault that I play fantasy football in the first damn place. So
I will say I am very lucky to have a wife that loves sports. Not just loves it, but is very diehard in in certain aspects. Because when we first met, she was down with baseball, but when it came to basketball and football, the knowledge wasn't there, the appreciation wasn't there, and that was 17 years ago.
is this like a roundabout way of you pretending to compliment me, but really complimenting yourself for teaching me about football and basketball?
I'm just saying, young grasshopper.
Like, yeah.
All right,
so
please,
basically, everything she knows is because of me.
This is true, though.
So I just don't. Maybe short term, but I don't think he's going to be happy in Oakland. I don't see Derek Carr being the kind of quarterback that can deal with a diva receiver like Antonio Brown. He can sling the ball, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he will be able to put it in Antonio Brown's hands, even as much as Ben Roethlisberger.
Think about Derek Carr's prominence was because he had Amari Cooper.
Right.
Amari Cooper is the opposite of a diva.
He's the exact opposite of a diva. You never hear him say a
He's
word.
a fantastic receiver. And yes, there were times on the Cowboys this season that I did see Amari Cooper look frustrated, but he wasn't complaining on the sidelines. He wasn't throwing helmets. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. And I really hope I'm not speaking that into existence. I think he's a good kid. And usually usually the Alabama receivers,
they've had that like whipped out of them.
are very disciplined and they're very kind of even keel. So I'm kind of hoping that trend continues. So you're right. How will Carr deal with Antonio Brown, who, if things don't go right the first 5, 6, 7, 8 games.
Oh God! And then it'll be the exact opposite situation where instead of Ben Roethlisberger in the media throwing Antonio Brown under the bus, Antonio Brown will be throwing Derek Carr under the bus, and he'll be saying, "I ran my routes, you didn't throw it."
So we have a potential train wreck situation here.
I think it will be a disaster. I'm calling it now.
Right. I'm talking about a little bit of a different train wreck. John Gruden is a very old school coach. Mm-hmm. He's a grab your face mask, yell at you, kind of a person.
Doesn't work.
Antonio Brown will not be receptive to that.
No.
He's not receptive to any kind of criticisms.
It doesn't seem like it.
And we've heard rumors, and we don't want to discuss any of those rumors about like how he acted in the practice field, because that's honestly
even
hearsay.
in the staff meetings.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's all kinds of, him showing up late to the meetings and stuff like they're not going to put up with that in Oakland.
I want to see what John Gruden does with him, because how he treats him is going to be very indicative of this honeymoon phase that they have on how long it will last. Because if John Gruden is in his face and all this stuff,
which he probably will be.
Yeah, because that's just his coaching style. Then I don't see Antonio Brown as tolerating that very well. And then you're just going to have more locker room drama, and all we're going to hear again next season is all about, oh, they overpaid, they wasted, he's a diva, blah, blah, blah. And I really do like the guy, and I really hope that he is successful, and I hope that he balls out in Oakland. I will just say this: he is definitely on my do not draft list. At least for the first maybe two rounds.
You at least have to. I wouldn't take him at all. You at least have to give it this season to see how that's going to play.
Well, no, because
I'm going to avoid that dumpster fire. Maybe because I learned my lesson with Le'Veon, but I just don't think it will be good.
I still see like
I don't think it'll be a good fit.
I see sheer talent as a draftable receiver in the first probably I would probably take him at the end of the second round. That's the earliest I would take him. And this is funny because if you think about it,
he won't be there at the end of the second.
I know. So when somebody does pick him earlier than that, I'm going to call them out on this podcast.
Yeah, so let somebody else deal with that problem. Sure. But oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So also on the rumor mill was potentially Le'Veon Bell.
Oh my God, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, tagging onto Oakland as well. And that'd be really weird if Oakland has two of the three killer bees, being Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. They're calling them already the West Coast Steelers, and they haven't even signed Bell yet. So I don't know how this is going to turn out.
There are so many teams interested in Le'Veon Bell. Do you think he'll go to the? Do you think? I don't mean will they pay him whatever. Do you think he will go to the Raiders? Do you think he wants that? I don't know. Just in like a quick
I think I pretty much predicted he was going to play last year, so
hey, me too.
I am not going to even try to predict where he'll go or any of that stuff.
I mean, honestly, in like a quick search about Le'Veon Bell, just because I wanted to see what teams were saying about him. I mean, the 49ers are talking about him, the Eagles, the Bears, the Jets, everyone and their mother is interested in him.
Not a single team that I predicted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who did you
I
expect?
predicted the Dolphins, the Ravens, and someone else. I can't remember now. But yeah, it wasn't any of the teams you just mentioned. Oh, I think Philadelphia.
Well, I mentioned Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, well, there we go.
But that doesn't mean these are the only teams. I mean, literally on a Google search, I was just scrolling and these were stories.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess living situation wise, maybe Oakland's a good place to go. San Francisco would also be a nice place to go.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going to happen with this situation. But
one thing's for damn sure, I'm not drafting him anymore.
Why? He should be the number one overall pick.
He's fat and slow.
He's not fat.
Stupid.
Nobody's actually seen what he looks like.
I saw him. He's fat.
No, he's not fat. So anyways, that's the big drama that we heard this weekend. Yeah. And I guess we can kind of move on from that because we won't really know anything until someone else gets signed or any of that stuff. I want to move on, or I don't want to move on to LeBron James, but
the second topic we don't want to talk about.
I think we have to move on to LeBron James. So in this last 7 days, he passed Michael Jordan for fourth all time in points scored. And that's a pretty phenomenal feat. However, it's like that steak that has that perfect char but doesn't taste very good. Mm-hmm. Like on the surface,
there's no salt.
Yeah, it's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, it looks pretty, but
yeah. You're just sitting there and you're like, because I actually watched the game. I watched the whole game. Mm-hmm. I was a little bored and nothing else was on TV, so I put on the game and I was interested to see the reception as well. And in the first quarter, he missed, I think, 2 free throws, and the crowd was booing him and all this stuff. And then you heard a week prior to that, and we discussed it, or 2 weeks prior to that, and we discussed it, that they're saying, the fans were chanting, LeBron's going to trade you to the other players that were shooting free throws. And then even a week earlier to this week, people were chanting Kobe Bryant in the Staples Center, and it was really weird because once he broke that record, and it was a fantastic shot it was an end one. He was bumped and he had a very nice finish, and once he surpassed Michael Jordan in the points, it was like 4 seconds of audacious applause, and then no, and then like Rajon Rondo and some other teammates kind of slapped him, but it wasn't like
No, he had a like I saw on TV like he had a longer moment with 2 Chainz than he did with any of his teammates.
yeah.
Like there was a whole ceremonious like 2 Chainz took off one of his chains and gave it to LeBron James and all this mess. He's not on the team.
It really makes you think, like what really is LeBron James's perception?
In LA, you mean?
In LA and the NBA.
Oh, I mean, I can't speak to it really because I don't live there, but I don't think that the Lakers fans in general care about LeBron James very much. Like, they're not very invested in him yet, and I think that's why it's such a lackluster. And the team is a complete dumpster fire. Like, there is no other way to describe this year's team.
It really seems like they're holding him to the Kobe Bryant pedestal. Because here's one thing, and I was debating this or not really debating, it was a text message back and forth for like 10 minutes with a friend this past weekend discussing what would Michael Jordan have done with this Lakers squad. And, cut and dry, I don't think Michael Jordan would have taken the squad to the finals.
Do you mean if you just take out LeBron James and plug in Michael Jordan? Oh, okay.
An even swap. But one thing that would not have happened was that Michael Jordan would not be sitting in May and June.
Right.
I mean, he would have at least gotten them into the playoffs, at least willed them. And then I said something, which I have no regret saying because it's how I truly feel, and it's there is some basis to it, is that I don't think LeBron James is the second best player. Yeah, he may have a great amount of assists, rebounds, he, at certain points of his career, he was a great defender, and being fourth on the all-time points list is no joke. Mm-hmm. But I think Kobe Bryant was a way better closer, way better. And we can look. I've seen analysts, discuss the numbers. And if there's one thing you haven't learned about this podcast, is that I don't give a shit about numbers. The world doesn't just revolve around numbers and stats. There are other things that are, not tangible that people remember. And it's not like I'm romanticizing Michael Jordan. Please don't understand that. Or I'm romanticizing Kobe Bryant. I didn't like Kobe Bryant at first. But once he started doing very well and I started learning about his work ethic, being in the gym before everybody, leaving after everybody left, then I was like, wow, this guy, despite what I thought I knew about him, he's fantastic, and he deserves all the praise he gets. I think Kobe was a way better finisher than LeBron James, because when there's 6 seconds left and you're down by 1 or 2 points, I would rather give the ball to Kobe, to Michael Jordan, way before I would give it to LeBron James. LeBron James has missed critical free throws in huge spots. LeBron James has given up, a relatively open shot or even a guarded shot and passed it to a lesser person. I just, it's a very weird feeling to have this conversation on is he the GOAT and all this nonsense when I think there are people that are in between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. But that is also my opinion.
But I don't know though.
Yeah, but I don't know though.
Yeah.
And I've debated it a million different times.
But this harkens back to what we were saying a few episodes ago, like, and I think, Ray asked us, like, what makes the greatest player great? If you go by the lists and the numbers, whatever, then maybe LeBron James is right up there. But like you said, some things are intangible.
Yep.
And we talk about intangibles all the time with football teams, but you don't really hear people talk about it with basketball players. With basketball, it seems to be more about the numbers and the number of championships, the number of playoff wins, the number of points, rebounds, assists, all these things.
Sure.
So I guess it just depends on the eye test, I guess, and what you think. And
the eye test is very, very important to me, as I think it should be for other people, because when you go by stats, a stat doesn't account for, certain situations. A stat is very linear.
But then the eye test is very subjective. That's a problem too.
It is
my eye test is not the same as yours.
You're 100% correct. It is extremely subjective. But okay,
So you should just be responsible for making the list, and then everyone should just agree with you. Problem solved.
I will get on Wikipedia and make my own, my own list. So like the reception in the Los Angeles crowd and the Lakers team, it was kind of lackluster. We discussed Doc Rivers pausing the game so people can applaud Dirk Nowitzki, and I have seen on TV the game where I can't remember. I think Dirk, I forgot who Dirk Nowitzki passed on the all-time points list, but they stopped the game. They had it on the billboard, and everybody just stood there and clapped. And that was not the reception you got with LeBron James. And that's kind of weird to say that because there's a huge LeBron James. There's a way larger LeBron James following than there will ever be a Dirk Nowitzki following.
But that following is not centered in Los Angeles. That's the problem.
That's true.
Like, I think if you really think about...
Yes, that's exactly... No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's exactly what... I think you hit the nail on the head right there without even saying it. If he were still in Cleveland or in Miami, that reception would have been off the chain.
Most of what he did...
Get 2 chains off the chain?
Well,
yeah. Is he now 1 chain?
No, he always wears like 6 or 8.
Or he should be chain.
Just chain?
Just chain. Like Prince or Cher.
Oh.
Chain.
Someday he's just going to come out like, I'm dropping the 2. I'm just going to be chain.
Yeah, dropping the 2 is something completely different that we don't need to talk about. Ugh.
Anyway, if he had this great accomplishment in Cleveland or in Miami, it would be a totally different situation because of all the things he did there. He hasn't done jack in Los Angeles. Like, not a damn thing. Everything that he said he was going to do in Los Angeles, he has not been able to do. And now he's limited on minutes. And they're clearly giving up. They're completely given up.
Oh, yeah. They're all but mathematically eliminated.
Right. And they're, like, sitting all their players, and people are hurt, and things are happening.
She did air quotes, if you can't tell.
You could tell. You could tell. But he hasn't done anything in Los Angeles, so why should they care?
So a couple of things that are right. And I want to go over this quickly because we can sit on this topic for a long time and bore the hell out of everybody. But I've heard that he has a lot of projects he's working on, such as Space Jam 2, and then some other musical endeavors and a TV show. And I think a lot of people, from what I'm hearing, and this is all hearsay, by the way, is that they're upset that he has come to Hollywood to be Hollywood, not necessarily to win the Lakers championships. Now, this is all kind of predicated on Anthony Davis not being traded to the Lakers. People thought that when LeBron James came to the Lakers, in the very first season, by the trade deadline, they would have huge free agents.
Right.
And that hasn't panned out for the first time in his career since he's been prominent.
Right.
Because he was able to get Chris Bosh to Miami and pair up with Dwayne Wade, even though that wasn't his team like he came with. But then when he went to Cleveland, he supposedly orchestrated the trade for Wiggins to get Kevin Love, and they already had Kyrie Irving, who was doing very well and was an all-star. So I think the LA fans are saying, well, hey, guys, is he here to prolong his career after basketball, like to make...
Of course he is.
To make his celebrity movie career.
Yeah.
And look, I don't blame him.
No, but you got to be a little more like inconspicuous about that shit until you stop playing.
Oh, sure. That's it. I totally agree.
I saw earlier an interview with him. I don't know if this was recent or before, and they were just talking about it, but he said something to the effect of, but basketball should be the most important thing to the, like, I don't know if he was talking about his teammates or whatever, but how are you going to say that to the media with a straight face when you're literally making a television show in the middle of the season? Like, he just had an episode of that stupid barbershop show with Antonio Brown and Anthony Davis and somebody else. I don't remember who else,
right.
But like, you're making a television show when your team's not going to make the playoffs, and you have the nerve to criticize everybody else. He's clearly not just there to play basketball. And I don't know, because I didn't grow up watching the Showtime Lakers. That's what they called them, right?
Yeah.
I didn't grow up watching that, so I don't really know. But is playing for the Lakers in basketball similar to like playing for the Yankees in baseball?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
So,
well, okay, hang on. Lakers and Celtics.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, could part of it be that he just wanted to say that he was a Laker for a while? And he thought that he would be successful, but whatever. Like,
I
there's
don't
so many
know.
other things I can do in LA. It doesn't really matter to him as much.
I don't know. We're interviewing him next week, so
Oh, we are? I have
Oh.
so many things I'd like to say to him.
no. You know what we should do? We should do like an interview segment where like one of us impersonates the
Pretends.
yeah.
That sounds even more annoying than Vopinions. There are very few professional athletes that I could intimidate? No.
Imitate. There we go. But yeah. You know, I don't know. I guess we'll, they're not making the playoffs. So this is I think the only second time in LeBron James's career he's not going to the playoffs. Definitely the first time since he, really kind of bust out in the league. So this is kind of a changing of the guard. It's going to be, for me, a little fun to watch because I get a little bit tired of seeing LeBron James in the finals every year. However, Golden State, is still there. But Golden State has struggled. They've lost the last 4 in a row. Steve Kerr seems to be, I kind of quote, because if I'm lip reading,
Don't say all the words.
I'm fucking sick of Draymond's shit. I think
The one was the one I didn't want you to say.
Oh, sorry. But it's in quotes, so.
No, yeah, you can't hear him say that, but it's pretty clear what
Right.
he's saying.
So, they have their own drama going on. But, with Golden State, the funny thing is that they've had spells like this, and it's the regular season. What do they do in the playoffs? They kill people. So I don't put any stock into that.
Well, I feel like every team is going to have some drama, right? It's
Right.
impossible to get that many grown men in a locker room and nobody has a problem with anybody.
Speaking of drama, another team that in the preseason or before the season started, people thought they had high aspirations, but have struggled mightily, are the Boston Celtics because Kyrie Irving
But he's sorry, though.
just blames everybody he blames the media for everything.
No, he's apologized so many times now.
He's literally sitting there and telling people like, God, why can't we just go play ball? Why do I have to sit here and answer these questions?
You said he yelled at a cameraman, right? When he was
Yeah.
walking in or something like, I didn't want this.
He said, I can't wait to, or he said, I won't miss this shit when I retire or when I stop playing ball.
When they weren't even talking to him, right? They were just taking
it
video
was
of him.
literally a cameraman following him into the stadium and in the tunnel.
Like
and
they do every game
Yeah,
to
and-
put the footage on TV.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, come on, like, don't be that guy.
It's grumpy.
You're a multimillionaire. If it wasn't for the NBA and the media, you wouldn't have your Uncle Drew TV or movie. You wouldn't have your shoes. You wouldn't have the notoriety. We wouldn't know you're a jackass for thinking the Earth is flat. By the way, if you think the Earth is flat, like seriously, I don't care if you stop following us or if you dog us on whatever. I don't care. That's just ridiculous.
I don't think he really thinks.
But I would be interested in talking to you about that.
If you're a flat earther, please hit us up at snmsportstalk@gmail.com.
Because have you looked at the footage of the moon landing? Like there are some things that you're like, did they really do that?
Wait, not landing on the moon is a completely separate thing than the Earth being flat.
Well,
no?
I think
Are
it's
they
just-
related?
I think it's like a whole NASA conspiracy thing.
Oh,
Yeah. But anyways,
we'll look into that.
yeah, we also have an astronomy and space physiology podcast as well.
No, we sure don't.
Yeah,
All we'd be talking about is aliens.
yeah, I
Are
know.
aliens real?
So anyways, so that's been the pulse of basketball. I still think, like, if there was ever a year for a surprise team to go to the finals and win it all, it would be this year. I would probably have to pick Milwaukee. I can't pick Houston. I have seen Houston. Everybody, is on their jock. Oh, James Harden. Oh, Chris Paul. And then all of a sudden, bam. And with Chris Paul, he's always injured. I can always count on Chris Paul being injured. He's already been injured for quite a few games this season. But I can always count on Chris Paul being injured in the playoffs. I can always count on Harden being tired in the playoffs.
Oh God.
So I don't see Houston making it far at all. So I would have to probably pick the Bucks. But hey, the playoffs are right around the corner.
Hey, we'll have something to talk about besides Lakers.
Yeah. And my Mavericks are out of it, so, what are you going to do?
Speaking of, I hope that pop in Luka Doncic's knee wasn't anything serious.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think it is. There was an MRI today, which is Monday. I guess we should be responsible to find out about
How
that.
do you say the possessive form of his name? Luka Doncic's?
The Donchai.
The Doncic. No,
Yeah.
I mean his knee.
Doncic is wow.
Doncic?
Luka Doncic's
Do you
knee.
add the S? Any grammar people, please let us know. I'm curious. That's hard to say.
Yeah, that's
Doncic's.
you
Luka
could
Doncic's.
download the Grammarly app apparently. So, anyways, that's kind of the pulse of basketball and the whole Antonio Brown situation. Not really a whole lot to report on until literally Saturday when all these things kind of started playing out. But, you know, the playoffs are right around the corner, so we're going to have a blast with that. I also do want to mention, speaking of playoffs? If you don't get the reference, text me or Facebook message and I'll explain it.
We can put up the video.
We are in one of the most important months when it comes to basketball, and that is March, because we got March Madness. Today is the 11th of March, and March Madness starts in 8 days. So this upcoming Sunday, which is March 17th, is going to be Selection Sunday, where all the teams are going to be put in their nice little brackets, and they're going to be ranked, and you're going to see the huge bracket of 64/68 teams.
And I'm going to pick all of them right.
Yes. Oh, my God. If you
get that $bazillion from Warren Buffett.
God, that'd be awesome. So I want to tell anybody who's listening to this, and I'm going to also reach out to some people personally, either through and we're going to do it on our Facebook webpage and all that stuff. Our Facebook webpage.
We got it, Grandpa. Just go ahead.
I'm going to have a link up to a bracket tournament that I created, and we'll have everybody submit their brackets. Please.
It's an ESPN group, right?
It's an ESPN bracket. Please, for the love of God, get everything done by Tuesday. Like, don't be that guy who like auto picks, unless you really don't know. If you really don't know and you auto pick, no shame in that.
You can pick however you like,
but don't auto pick because you're lazy. You know what I mean? Like don't be that guy.
We have a real problem with auto drafting on this podcast.
Yeah, don't be that guy who's like on April 15th at like 5 p.m. You know, the news is showing him at the post office like, yeah, man, I got my taxes done. I'm the last in line. Like, don't be that
Nobody
guy.
wants to be that guy.
Yeah. So, you know, and, you know, I'm going to be picking as well. I have to boast. The very first time I ever did a bracket was in 2012, and I freaking won.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, you know, I do
it won't happen again.
I do pretty well in the brackets. And Misty was discussing. Misty was discussing that first place should be given some kind of a prize, to which I shut that down very quickly. I'm like, no, we're not giving free shit to anybody.
We'll figure out something.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, it might be something fun. It might be something, you know, small or stupid or anything like that. We could even do like dealer's choice for a certain like monetary amount.
Don't get crazy.
Yeah, now I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love for anybody to join.
Yeah, please join
to get
us.
like
It'll be fun.
Yeah, to get like a big tournament. That'd be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we're going to have that up on the Facebook thing. And then we're going to reach out to some of y'all, you know, individually.
And we'll try to talk about the tournament, even though I don't know squat about NCAA basketball.
Yeah, well, you know,
we'll talk about the important games.
You kind of learn as you go. Yeah, it'll be pretty easy. So anyways, we're gonna take a quick break. And when we come back, I think Misty's got
have a controversial topic to ask you about.
Some things to talk about. All right, we will be back, guys.
Welcome back. I have a bit of a controversial topic. I feel like we've done a lot of controversial topics lately. I didn't really mean to, but this one just so happened to occur this week. So I also want to give the disclaimer that we don't mean to be homers. Just a lot of Dallas Cowboys shenanigans have happened in recent times.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think this makes us a homer because this really looks bad.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, just talking about the Cowboys. So, Sharuk, I wanted to ask you, because we have not really discussed this topic. Cowboys defensive lineman David Irving quit the National Football League this week
in the most epic fashion
via Instagram whilst smoking marijuana. And so he was facing his third suspension in the last 3 years for failed drug tests. leading one to believe if he's standing up for his principles or is he tired of being suspended and he's not making that much money anyway and the Cowboys were not planning on re-signing him. He made a lot of valid points in his quitting speech on Instagram, but I'm just curious your thoughts maybe on what he had to say and maybe the reasons for it being said.
So, as a person who has had some epic quitting moments myself, you know, I think, first off, I was actually told to be babysat at a job at one time. Like, I was told that every shift I was going to work, I was going to have to be supervised, and they wanted me to sign a contract.
That didn't go over very well.
Yeah, it didn't go over very well. So I essentially, you got to understand, this was a very younger Sharuk. I took the contract, I ripped it up, tossed it on the ground, and I walked out. So that was one of my epic quitting moments.
Still not smoking weed on Instagram, epic.
No, that would have been pretty cool. Okay, so my opinion on this, you're right. There are valid points.
Maybe we should say what the points are first. Sorry, I did not. Okay, so he made the point that basically, in less eloquent terms, he said the NFL's drug policy is sort of antiquated, and they don't mind pushing pills on players with chronic injuries or chronic pain, but they won't let them smoke marijuana to relieve their pain. So his whole thing was plants over pills. Like, his argument was marijuana is at least a more natural way to treat your pain than the opioid that they just throw at you, which is obviously a problem in this country right now anyway. So that's what we mean when we say he made a valid point.
Right.
I think that's what I mean anyway. I don't know about you.
So if anyone knows me, I am very pro marijuana. Now, that doesn't mean I smoke it. I haven't smoked it since 2012. I never habitually did it. I did it on occasion. I never use it for pain control. I never use it for anxiety relief. I did it because it was fun, because I like that feeling. As somebody who has studied science, and you're of the same ilk, we've studied science. We've talked to patients. You learn the biophysics of THC and CBD, which the CBD is like such a trendy word right now. Like, hey man, you can't sleep, put some CBD oil under your tongue.
And also very controversial. Is it legal? Is it not legal?
Okay, so CBD is legal because there's two things. THC alters the mind.
Right.
It puts you in that euphoric state, whereas CBD has all the other benefits,
Right.
which are anxiety. It's an anti-anxiolytic. Pain relief, insomnia, appetite stimulant. There's so many benefits.
There's some research about medical marijuana stopping seizures in epileptic patients.
So, working in the hospital system, marijuana has been used, to increase the appetite. Also for the nausea symptoms of chemotherapy patients.
Everyone knows it's for glaucoma.
Yeah.
Like, these
So,
are common.
but it's just, it still has such a weird negative stigma. You're like, oh, marijuana. Because everybody has that picture.
Even though it's legal in so many places now.
Everybody has that picture in their head of like a guy with a backwards cap who looks shady standing on the corner, smoking reefer with his thumb and his pointer finger, like
doing nothing with his life.
Yeah, like it's a weird look.
He dropped out of high school.
Like, people associate somebody who partakes in smoking marijuana with a pothead. It's a huge difference. A pothead is a guy who wakes up in the morning, smokes a joint. On the way to work, smokes a joint. Has to fake, drug tests. Has to go to court because of failed drug test.
It is no different than there are people who enjoy drinking a beer and there are people who are alcoholics.
100%. So, we when I say we, I mean the society. I don't think we're very progressive on this topic because we have some antiquated idea of what somebody, who smokes pot should look like, or what we think they look like. A point of pride for a lot of people is, oh, I never smoked marijuana. And that's fine. You know, like not everybody's choice is going to be your choice and vice versa. So marijuana has so many benefits. It has a ton of benefits. I mean, we even have receptors for CBD. It's the THC part that makes it illegal because, you know, that's what's found in the street drug variety of marijuana, and that's what is detected in the drug tests.
And if I'm not mistaken, there are strains of marijuana that have been bred. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Bred to have less THC.
Right.
So it's beneficial, but it doesn't get you high.
Right.
So you still get the pain control or the anti-anxiety or whatever, but you don't get that euphoric feeling that would cause you to be altered in a way where
Sure.
maybe it's not safe for you to drive or whatever the case may be.
Sure. And you know, the funny thing is, who cares? Like, I think he has great points because scientifically it is found that it controls the pain and anxiety and all the stuff that I mentioned earlier. The only negative issue we have is how he went about it. If you were to sit there, you know, sit down and if, you know, do the selfie video, whatever it is, or the Instagram live, whatever, and he was, you know, saying, hey, Roger Goodell and the NFL Players Association, we should have a sit down talk. I've been suspended multiple times for marijuana. You know,
I'd like to bring some scientists with me to
Yeah.
explain.
here's some
Sure.
here's some doctors, here's somebody on the, you know, physician board of whatever,
So many ways
you know,
to
to
do
discuss the, you know, medical scientific research, you know, and show the efficacy and what it actually does. That might, and even if he said, you know, I'm going to quit because I want to partake in this recreational activity, because I would much rather smoke marijuana than take opioids, as you mentioned, isn't, you know, we're at crisis levels in many places in this country.
There have also been players quit because they were scared of CTE, but they still consult with the NFL on how to keep players safe.
Sure.
So he could do the same exact thing, like
Right.
quit on principle, but still try to advocate for relaxing the rules in the
Right.
NFL so the players can take advantage of the benefits.
Yeah. So, you know, I think what he's saying is important, but the delivery was pretty piss poor. I mean, if you don't want to be, if you don't want to be perceived as like a pothead or you know, a junkie, then present it in a more, you know, appropriate, respectable, professional manner.
If you don't like the stereotype, don't embody the stereotype. I mean,
Right.
he was shirtless, smoking a joint on Instagram, and quit professional football.
Right.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I think that if he had a, I don't know, like maybe a more professional demeanor, then this would be taken seriously. But look at what the mainstream like sports, you know, world is talking about right now. They're not talking about marijuana. They're not talking about the science. They're not talking about the benefits and the consequences. They're not talking about pros and cons. They're talking about, oh, David Irving failed tests. He's smoking a joint on Instagram.
Right.
We're not going to take him seriously. And what sucks is that this could have been very beneficial for the players
Sure.
and society as a whole. Hell, it's the most popular sport in this country. But what it does is it became a detriment
Of course.
because of the delivery.
Yep.
And that really stinks because if we're going to progress and actually have these talks, then we should have them. Then you have to deliver it in a nice little package. For instance, if, you know, this is like a very weird kind of an idea of how I think it would have worked. But if you get 100 people who are very pro marijuana, right, and you go to Washington D.C., ugh, and say, hey, we don't want states to have control over this. We want this to be federally legal because it's already legal in X amount of states. Here's documentation. Here's research. Here's, you know, a cash flow analysis on how it could benefit the government. That's one thing.
You nerd.
I know, right? That's one thing. But if you have a bunch of folks shirtless, smoking
see where
reefer,
you're
you know,
going.
at the National
Just, like,
Monument,
lighting up a doobie at the
yeah,
on the
like
lawn.
like a scene of Dazed and
Yeah,
Confused.
Right.
or like Cheech and Chong, then it's
It's a completely different,
probably not going to be received very well.
same message,
Yeah.
completely different perception.
If you don't want to be, seen as a stereotypical, or if you don't want to live the stereotype as a pothead junkie, and you actually have good reasoning, which he does have good reasoning, and I'm pretty sure he knows exactly 100% what he's talking about.
He probably does. And he
yeah.
probably does have chronic pain issues. I mean, I think I read somewhere like, oh, he hasn't been in the NFL that long to have these kind of pain problems. I think after 1 year, some of these guys have issues.
Sure.
Like, I don't think it takes, and they have to come up through the high school system, the college system. Like, you can't just go straight into the NFL. So this is years of abuse. It's
Right.
no wonder that some of these guys, when they retire, they say they can't get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, they can't function for a while because they have so much damage to their body.
and it's debatable. Is marijuana a gateway drug? Is marijuana, addictive? Does it have addictive properties? Those things we can debate, till the cows come home, because I have a different perception on those things than you or somebody else, or a listener or whatever. The problem is, and it's really unfortunate, I think David Irving, at least in the popular world or the sports world, has set this topic back, even if it's 1 step or 10 steps. Because I think that this is very important. If you look at the National Hockey League, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I heard this past week that if you have a drug suspension for marijuana,
They call you.
and they talk about it. That's so Canadian, by the way.
Right.
Hey,
Sorry to bother you.
your sample, it may be contaminated, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I apologize to any Canadians. But that was a pretty spot-on impression, by the way.
That was pretty good.
Stay tuned for next week when we have our Canadian guest. Spoiler alert, it's me. Sorry. They talk to you, they don't treat it as such a big deal as we do in this country.
Right.
And then this can take another a turn and go into a political divide and socioeconomic divide and all this stuff. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about science. We're talking about receptors in the body that control pain, that control, pain tolerance and threshold. I'm sure at a certain point, opioids, oh man, this is insane. Oh, and I'm sure there was somebody there, maybe not on a podcast because they're talking about a long time ago, but they're probably talking about, oh no, they're receptors. We know, and from a medical background, that they have mu receptors that opioids bind to. Mu as in the Greek letter mu.
Nerd.
Yeah. But we know what those things do. It just so happens that after this many years, we found out that opioids are extremely addictive, and people abuse the hell out of them and cause problems.
We also have a prescribing problem with opioids, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, too. I think that part of the reason he has, to use your words, set this topic back is because it's a convenient time to be doing this, right? Like, you're not going to be re-signed anyway. Everybody knows that. If you go to another team, you're facing suspension because of a failed drug test. Like, it's not like he's at the top of his game and he's blowing everyone's minds by quitting. Like, I'm not positive that people outside of Dallas before this happened really knew about David Irving.
No, he wasn't.
He's not like a household name.
He was an average to good player. He was good at times and he was average at others.
And I'm not saying anything about his playing ability.
And that's not a bad thing, by the way.
I'm just saying, like, we're not talking about, I'm trying to think of who's like, I'm not amazing, but okay, Phillip Rivers. He's like a decent quarterback, right?
Sure.
Not the best, but definitely not the worst. If he were to walk away and say, hey, I can't do this anymore, I'm against the NFL's marijuana policy, people would be like, oh, wow. Like, he really has something to play for. This Joker wasn't even going to be signed.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of while he does have valid points, it's kind of a convenient time to be quitting the NFL. Because one of the points he made, too, was like, I'm not going to put up with this because I haven't even made $1 million. Right. Or like, I don't even have $1 million. So what is it really about for him?
Your Phillip Rivers...
I don't think Phillip Rivers is a pothead, just to be clear.
But he wears his bolo ties,
He
so
does.
there's got to be something there.
And he's got like 18 children, right? So.
But it kind of just... and actually, I didn't even know we were going to be talking about marijuana on this thing, but
Surprise.
The very funny thing is that we have teams that play in states where it's legal for recreational use, yet you can't use it. Okay? It was a big to-do during Ezekiel Elliott's, I believe, his rookie season when he was in, I believe, Denver, or maybe it was Seattle. I can't remember now. But he
One of those hippie places.
yeah, cut it out. he was
At a dispensary.
at a dispensary, and then they took pictures, and Jerry Jones had to have the talk because of the perception and all this nonsense.
I
And
know
sitting
some
here-
very straight-laced people who have been to a dispensary.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here thinking, Ezekiel Elliott, it's not like he's like smoking like there's a joint hanging out of his lip.
No.
He literally wanted to go and check it out. And he probably partook. He's probably partaken in, that before, in college or whatever. But, yeah, and I saw the picture, it wasn't like, it wasn't like he, like I said, he
He didn't
have,
walk out with a big tote bag full
Yeah.
of stuff from the dispensary.
He literally was just like relaxing in some like casual hoodie, I think, and all of a sudden that's a big deal. It's legal in some states. There's a problem. Yes, fine from a government standpoint, yes, but there is a problem with the NFL. Like it's such hypocrisy. Like we're not talking. They mask so many of these performance enhancing drug violations. You mean to tell me all these jacked up linemen and linebackers,
superhuman monsters of people.
You mean to tell me that they're completely clean of PEDs
Just
every single season?
corn-fed, like.
We only hear about one or two
Right.
every like 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
No, but weed. Oh no,
Yeah. Exactly.
suspend them. Like, are you kidding me?
That
Like,
was literally one of the things I was going to say. Like, marijuana is not performance enhancing, so I don't understand. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny here, but when cocaine was such a problem in baseball, there is an argument that could have been performance enhancing in the game, right? It makes you more like energetic and focused or whatever. But
I guess.
I don't think the same can be said for marijuana.
I would like for it to be very clear. I've never tried cocaine.
Yeah, right? But
Oh, please God.
well, I was just going to say there is a solution to this. In my mind, it's very simple. Whether it's legal or not, if it's medically legal, then why can't you have the team doctor prescribe it? Whoever's prescribing these guys their opiates or whatever they're taking for pain relief, have them prescribe medical marijuana. Have it monitored by a physician. If you don't have a prescription for it and you don't need it, it can't be in your system. Period.
But even that has a problem.
I'm not saying that's how I feel like it should be. I'm saying that is a good compromise between the league wanting marijuana to be against the rules and maybe some of the players wanting the benefits. That is a good compromise. If you need it and the team doctor can prove that you need it, then you can have it.
I would probably say it's a better start than a compromise.
No, that's what, it has to start somewhere. They're not just going to... Roger Goodell's not going to turn around tomorrow and say, okay, sorry, you guys can all go get high. He's not going to do that.
It could be, the problem I have with if your team doctor prescribes it is that if it's legal for recreation use in that particular state, there are already laws that you cannot cross state lines with it. So if it's legal in that
But
state,
then where does that stop? So, like, if it's not legal in Texas
no,
for recreational use.
right?
But when our team plays in Denver, are they allowed to partake there?
I think they should be.
But then when they come back here, there has to be a washout period where
Sure.
they don't test. Like, that's complicated too.
It is
I
complicated.
think you can't have different rules for different teams. Like, just because you play in Seattle doesn't mean that you can do something that somebody in Florida can't do.
Well,
I don't know. Is it legal in Florida? I don't know.
Then I think it needs to be completely done away with. I mean, look.
But then you
have you
can't
noticed?
have the players using marijuana if it's illegal in the state. Like, this
Fine,
is tricky.
but have you noticed that when we talk about sports and athletes and drugs, when it comes to like this kind of testing, whatever,
Always marijuana.
it's always marijuana.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, oh man,
This is not Michael Irvin in the 1990s.
They tested me for opioids. They were because opioids are allowed to a certain degree.
I think they're encouraged.
Or
even.
they're testing me for like methamphetamines. And I understand a derivative of methamphetamine is in like the whole anabolic steroid, all that stuff. But
But are we?
you don't no nobody ever lobbies for that. It's always lobbying for marijuana. And I think
Yeah.
if this many people are lobbying for it, and there's science behind it, and there are facts, then the NFL needs to be a little bit more progressive. I feel like the NFL is the least progressive league in all the four major sports.
Maybe.
You think about the dumbest shit that they talk about every season. We're gonna allow celebrations of touchdowns. Are you?
For
Are you?
6.7 seconds only.
Are you kidding me? You're going to allow celebrations for touchdowns? Like, I'm trying to not be profane here.
Yeah, let's just move away from that.
You watch soccer, one guy scores a goal, and the entire team celebrates and do something
God.
choreographed, and it's
And they gotta
amazing.
take a shirt off, and it's a whole mess.
Yeah, but like, that's why they call the NFL the no fun league.
Yeah.
I mean, you have somebody jump in the Salvation Army tin, and like everybody's like, "Oh man, we gotta find him." Are you stupid? Do you know how much exposure the Salvation Army got? Do you know how many donations they got?
There were so many. I don't remember the actual number, but it was astronomical.
I think,
and
like-
he matched those donations too.
I think the NFL has the dumbest rules in sports. NBA so much more progressive. NHL definitely progressive. Baseball, they're progressive. Oh, I think they're progressive, but they're except for steroids because that's baseball's marijuana.
Right.
But it's so frustrating that my favorite sport, the sport I love to watch, the sport that I don't work on Sundays. I used to tell, we used to work 12-hour shifts in the hospital, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll work every weekend except for September through January and now February because the Super Bowl. I don't work during football games.
Yeah.
And the times that I did have to work, I was the shittiest employee ever.
Right. There was a lot of working going
Yeah,
on.
I would go to a patient room, and just like stare at the TV. Like, hey, okay, can I put the game on, buddy?
You need
know?
anything? I'm going to stand here for a while.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, the sport I love the most is so ass backwards in their rules that it kind of makes it fun. It kind of makes it not fun to watch at times.
Yeah.
But anyways, so
it is very annoying. Well, and I was just going to say, like, we are delusional if we think, oh, this player goes into the locker room before halftime. He's limping. He's hurt. Whatever. He comes out in the second half and he's fine.
Right.
Like, what do you think they injected him with exactly? You think they got some magic steroids back there? Like
it's
they
infants
got
Tylenol.
yeah, they got some magic ibuprofen that you and I don't know about. Like, come on, really?
I remember one time a doctor wrote me a prescription for, like, I was like, oh man, sweet. He's gonna give me some kind of like like a real painkiller, right? And he's like writing the script or the prescription.
Fancy.
And I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna go to the pharmacy and check it out. And I looked at it, it's like maximum strength ibuprofen. It said 800
You
milligrams.
got the 800s.
And I was like, wait a second, doc, can't I just take 4 pills of the shit I have at home?
You can if you want to take 4 of them.
I mean, man, like how, like,
But this is
Okay,
that's so good on that doctor. I don't remember which doctor it was, but good on him. Because why should everyone just get a? This is a whole nother rabbit hole. I can't even.
I'm going to share a personal thing.
Oh, Lord.
Guys, tune in. I have gout.
Oh,
Yeah, I have old man disease. I don't know where it comes from.
you're so brave for sharing your.
I am very
struggle.
brave. We are also sponsoring a limpathon.
Why do you always get? It's a limp along.
Limp along. It's going to be every.
Nobody wants a limp a thon.
yeah,
That's too
it's
long.
going to be every February 30th.
Please send your donations.
But if you have that's some severe pain, by the way.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that
800 milligrams of ibuprofen.
Okay, fine. But do I
And
really
then-
have to get into this?
And then that other quack that you sent me to wrote me for that like topical pain relieving cream.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
No, oh my gosh.
Anyway.
I needed drugs.
Okay, I need to say this. I won't stand on my soapbox. A lot of physicians will be like, oh, you have pain? No, maybe not now, but before, in my experience. Oh, you have pain? Well, here's hydrocodone, which is an opioid. If you need it, just fill it. What do you think people are doing with that? There are like 18 things between over-the-counter ibuprofen and hydrocodone. There's like a huge spectrum in between
Yep.
that people maybe wouldn't like smoke or snort
Sure.
or get high with. Anyway, so
So,
anyway,
thanks for
good
listening to our
points.
drug
Yeah.
talk.
Right.
I hope we have opened your eyes to. I'm just kidding. No, honestly,
I don't know. I don't know when it'll change, but
yeah, everybody has a perspective on this.
Sure.
I think the best thing we can do is to at least listen to the opposing view, and just kind of look. And I'm very open minded. If somebody is very anti marijuana, I'll be more than happy to listen.
and maybe there's a reason that we haven't thought of.
And I wasn't like this. Misty can attest to this. I made fun of. I actually got put in my place at University of North Texas. I made fun of a kid reading a pamphlet about joining a group that was pro marijuana.
For like legalization.
Right. And I think he had he had like stomach pain or nausea or something like that. And I was making fun of him, and not to his face, but I was making fun of the group. I was like, "Oh man, what? It's a bunch of potheads sitting around." And the guy was like, "Well, why would you say that? Like, do you understand the benefits of marijuana?" And I was an undergrad, and I was like, "Well, I mean, yeah, I kind of
Do you understand
know."
the benefits of your face?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of understand, and he educated me, and hey, man, I learned a lesson. So the best we can do is listen to the opposing view and at least be open minded. And if it's not for you, fantastic, it's not for you.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's not for everybody, because at a certain point, amazing medications always start out with resistance.
Of course.
So, anyways, that's our pharmaceuticals and
Roger
drug
Goodell
talk.
hit us up. If you
Yeah.
want some ideas about how to run the league,
Yeah.
we got you covered.
Oh my God! If I was a commissioner, oh my God,
Here we go.
I would have so many. I would be like, okay, you have 20 seconds to do whatever, like touchdown celebration. I don't care if you want to involve fans. I don't care if you want the whole team. Like, I don't care if you want the equipment manager to come out there and like punt the ball through the uprights.
Oh, that would be nice if they included the equipment manager. Those guys
See,
work hard.
all the cool stuff I just said right now, you ruined it.
How sweet. I like your idea.
So anyways, so we're gonna wrap this up. This is gonna be kind of a shorter episode. We were traveling this weekend, so didn't get to follow as much as we wanted to. That's Misty's bad. It's okay though.
Wait a minute.
but,
We'll do better next week.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank everybody for the texts and messages and all this stuff, especially with the whole Vopinion thing. I was very resistant to doing that.
Wait, how did your poll turn out? Remind me.
It was found out, but it wasn't very many votes. But it was found
I
out
don't care.
that it was inconclusive actually. If you think about it,
I don't think so.
All right.
I think people liked my opinions better than yours.
All right. Well, I will definitely do better next time. So yeah. So
Don't forget to join in our bracket challenge. We'll post that on
Yes.
Facebook. We'll post the link to the group. I guess I don't really know how people get added. So
you literally just click
you
the
just
link.
join?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll post the link
You have to
on
make like an
Facebook.
ESPN account. It's literally like your email. You pick a password, your first name, last name,
Oh, I didn't know if you had to add people.
credit
or-
card, social security number,
Oh, right. Blood type.
last bank statement,
Right. Maybe some
yeah.
hair from your firstborn child.
thumbprint.
Yeah.
But no, it's really easy to do, and we're gonna have some fun with this.
And we will figure out some kind of prize
Yeah.
situation, regardless of what Shrug says.
And appreciate the downloads and all the funny feedback we got. But anyways, so yeah, you can follow us on all those platforms, whatever Missy just said,
Feel free to tell your friends and neighbors.
and each other. No, that's a Jerry Springer thing.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves and each other. But yeah, so not really a whole lot to talk about this weekend or this week.
A little short episode for you
Yeah,
guys.
well, we'll come back stronger, I'm sure. All right, so I guess we'll wrap this up, and we shall see you guys next week. Enjoy your week.
Yeah, have a good week.
Yeah, so all right.